Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Alicia. This is my sister Carissa. She's a VIP on this channel. She is over for her birthday weekend with me, and we wanted to film two different book recommendation videos. We are going to do a fantasy recommendation video, which is this one, and then we're also going to film a thriller recommendation video. So definitely look forward to that one and go watch that one if it's out. So without further ado, we are going to give you our top 5 fantasy picks. Now, we want to say we love Sarah J. Maas. We love Queen Sarah J. Maas. She is our favorite queen. We want to note that if we had a top 5, well, mine I know would all be Sarah J. Maas. Like, it just would be for me, fantasy-wise. I don't know if it's the same for you, but it would be for me.
I don't know if I'd put Crescent City up there, but I would put...
I still would.
You would? Okay.
But
okay.
You'll come to see that I may not read as much fantasy as this one. So she might have better picks, but this is basically a fantasy book recommendation video minus Sarah J. Maas, just because we all already know.
Right.
You know, she's taken over the world.
Right.
So we're going to give you some recs that would be good to read if you're missing that kind of vibe. We'll start with me because I actually don't even have 5. I am lacking in the fantasy category, but I will say the fantasy that I have read, I would say all of these, okay, not all of them. I'll just go book by book because I don't want to clump them all in one category because they're kind of different. But the first one I want to recommend is a series. It's Kingdom of the Wicked. This one's a very popular one. You might have already heard of it. I remember picking this one up and I read the trilogy. It's a 3-part series. I was hooked. I think these books are really fun to get into if you're missing that kind of fantasy atmosphere. But I'm also just not a huge fantasy person. I love Sarah J. Maas, but I don't love all fantasy books. There's some that she's recommended to me that I like them, but it's just not my bread and butter. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But I will say if you're a girl who loves fantasy, but you're also sometimes I don't love all fantasy, I think you would really enjoy these ones. And I do love that it is a trilogy and it ends. Mm-hmm. I hate when you're always waiting for the next book.
So it is a full trilogy.
4th wing. I'm just kidding because I can't wait to read Onyx Storm. But
so it does 3rd book closes it all out.
Yeah, technically I know she does have more books in this world.
Right, which
but
is on my
if you only
list.
Read the trilogy, you are good. It
okay.
does have an ending and everything like that. You don't need to read the rest of the world books. I probably will at some point, but I felt closure. I felt good reading just these 3 books. So I definitely highly recommend Kingdom of the Wicked series, all 3 books. So good. I loved the characters. I loved the romance. I loved the drama. I loved the battle. I loved everything. So, love these.
You kind of make me want to try that again.
It's so good.
Because I read the first book and it was fine. It was good. I would say I did enjoy it and I did go into the second. And I feel like maybe there had to have been I keep coming back to Sarah J. Maas, but I feel like when I tried to read those, there may have been a Sarah J. Maas book coming out that I was mid the second book. And I was well, I'm just going to stop, read my other book. And then I just never came back to it. And now I kind of want to give it a try.
Yeah, no,
again.
I really loved it.
So.
And I will say we do differ in that I am very romance heavy in my fantasy. I love that. That's my bread. If it does not have enough romance, I won't be interested. Her, on the other hand.
Which is kind of, for some of them that I have, probably your issue.
Okay, so with The Kingdom of the Wicked, the premise that I will tell you, just to kind of get you hooked, because you should be hooked on this book, hooked on phonics. We have twin sisters. One of them is murdered. And the other twin sister goes out trying to find who did it. She will try and do it at all costs. She ends up meeting one of the princes of hell. And the prince of hell and her end up teaming up. And he kind of convinces her that he is on her side. And that's all you really need to know going in. But just know that that's not all that happens. So much happens after that. It's a wild, crazy fantasy ride. And it's so good. Bride by Allie Hazelwood. If this doesn't say what kind of romance I love, then I don't know.
You recommended that one to me and I listened to the audiobook.
I would recommend reading, not listening to the audiobook.
Because I was on a plane when it got to a spicy part and I was oh God. And I was okay. On a work trip too.
So this one I would say gives Twilight vibes, but different. And I just really liked that. I read this knowing that it would probably be a little bit cringy, but if you go in knowing that, it's fun. It's a fun, easy, it's such an easy read.
I was surprised.
If you're just looking for a one-off fantasy romance, I would say this one, honestly.
I was surprised that I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was surprised you did too, honestly.
Book? No. But you know what I wanted more of? all of the political
I
between
knew
the
you
races
would.
and
I was like,
everything, and
no,
all like
we're
the...
good. It's unneeded. It's not needed. Okay, so with Bride, you've probably already heard what it's about, but if not, the short and sweet of it is that there's a girl who's a vampire, boy who's a werewolf. They have to commingle because of things. So that's all I want to tell you is like it's vampire, werewolf. It's heavy romance. Heavy romance. Okay, and then my third one is actually probably, I would say, my favorite recommendation, From Blood and Ash. I've kept this in such good shape.
You really
like,
have.
This looks so nice.
Do I have your other one? Or did I give them
No,
back already?
you gave them back.
Did, okay.
Did you read them?
Like the first 3, right? Or the first
Oh, yeah,
2?
and then you stopped because you were listening to it on audiobook. You keep listening to the most spicy things, and then as soon as she hits a spice part in an audiobook, she's like, I can't. DNF.
I'm
can't
not
do it. So, but I don't listen to the spice in any of these because I will say I have
it was
read.
Jarring too.
I can't listen to romance, like straight up just
Yeah.
romance books. I can't listen to them. I've tried. I can only audiobook thrillers.
It was
It's the only ones I find interesting.
I think it was like the third
or horror
book
books.
too, and it was the first time you were in his perspective. So it
Yeah,
was
I know what
jarring.
you're talking about. Okay.
So, yeah.
So with this book, from what I remember, we have Poppy as our heroine. Like, she's our main girly. We love her. And she has to fight a lot in this book.
Oh.
I want to give kind of, because there's so many of them now that I'm like trying to give the whole series, you know, like,
yeah.
And it goes crazy. And the thing is like,
crazy.
I feel like to go into this book, I don't even want you guys to know like that much about it. I just want you to know if you're craving a good romantasy, I would say read this book. And if you're also just got done with it, if you also just got done with a Sarah J. Maas book, I would say read this book. It's got the vibes of Fair in our main girl character. And I would say the main male character. Okay, you know who I'm going to compare him to? I kind of want. Who do you think I'm going to compare him to? I don't think you're even going to know because it's not.
Lorcan?
No. It's a
Lor-
Disney character.
Oh.
That I'm going to compare him to. And I wonder if you'll be like, oh, I kind of see it.
The Beast from Beauty and the Beast?
Flynn Rider.
Oh, really?
From Tangled.
I
where
got
he's
a
like.
completely different vibe.
Really?
Interesting.
Okay. Because I kind of got the vibe of he's like kind of a jokester. He's always like.
It's been a while
everything
since I read it.
He teases a lot. And it reminds me of like Flynn Rider.
I guess he does.
I would compare him to Flynn Rider. So it's almost like a Flynn Rider and Fair is what I would say. Am I Farrah. Dang it, I'm saying her name wrong. Farrah.
I was just going with it.
I don't listen to the audiobook, so I never hear the names out loud. So sorry.
I did like a pronunciation thing on the internet. I was like, okay, Farrah.
Well, I just hear it in like TikToks, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, those are my. Okay, I wanted to have 5 because I wanted us each to have 5, but those were literally the only 3 that I could think of that I actually really loved and wanted to share. I will say I would also put Fourth Wing on this list, but everyone already knows about Fourth Wing. Anyways, so those are mine. I will let Carissa speak now. Carissa has a whole list. Look at her prepared little booty.
So, no particular order, right? So, first is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It is a romantasy. It is. But there, like, a lot of the book, at least the first one, duology. But there's multiple books by the same author in, like, the same world. So, but the main story is a duology. And the first book is called The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And it's basically, there's different races of vampires and humans, of course. Don't want to say too much, but there's basically something, like, similar to, like, the Hunger Games, where, like, every 7 years, all the different races get together and they like pick specific people to go into this competition. If whoever wins the competition gets a blessing from the goddess Nyx, right?
Oh, okay.
Nyxia? That goddess.
Dude,
and
I was not listening when you said what you're talking about. What book is this?
Serpents and the Wings of Night.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, she looked at me like confirmation, and I was like,
and so they can ask for anything.
Yeah.
And it basically follows this girl who's been adopted by the ruler of one of the vampire races. And she is human. And her whole thing is, you know, she wants to be as powerful. She wants to, like, deserve to inherit the throne from her father. So she goes into the competition to ask the goddess, hoping to win, to ask her for, like, enough power to inherit the vampire world.
Right.
Things ensue.
Because I have read
There's
the first
another,
book, so that's why she's like looking at me like,
yeah,
you know.
There's people, she maybe meets someone, you know, in the trials, you know, and only one person wins and everyone else dies. So you're like, okay, well, like, how do multiple people get out then if they like fall in love or something? I don't know. In the ring. That's all I'm gonna say. The next one is called Paladine's Grace, and that's by T. Kingfisher. And Paladine's Grace I thought it was really good. And it is, I would call it a series, but it's not like a full-on series where it follows really the same people in each book. It is not an anthology series, but each book okay, let me back up. Paladine's great. I'm such a rambler.
Wait, give me 1 second. Okay, continue. I wanted to resituate.
Okay, so Paladine's Grace is my next one. There are gods. And there's like a handful of gods, and they have these people called paladines who are like soldiers who are endowed, and boom, they are given godly power of like superpowers basically during certain times. So they like worship the gods, and they're like their best disciples, I guess you could say. At the start of this book, 2 of the gods have died. And people didn't know gods could die.
I was about to ask. I was like, the gods can die? What?
Basically, when the gods died, the paladines went into like a berserker fit where they were killing people. They didn't know what they were doing. Like they had like this godly power, but they can't control it. So we follow the paladines who survived after the berserker fits of one of the gods. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I haven't read all of the books in the series, but there's about 4 or 5 paladines. And each book in this paladine series follows a different paladine and their journey, basically. I'm trying to do this.
You're giving better explanations than I was like, there's a girl, there's a boy, do them out.
They love each other. You basically follow the aftermath. It's been like a year, 18 months since the gods died. And so like this paladine's trying to find purpose again. He's trying to find like his place in the world because his place was like serving his god, and that's like not a thing anymore. So he is, just kind of trying to survive with his other paladine day by day. He, meets a girl.
Boy meets girl.
Boy meets girl. But there's also like a lot of political stuff going on while all this is happening. And then on top of that, an assassin is involved, like tried to kill the prince. And he's basically trying to figure out who hired this assassin, what the whole like mystery is of like who has this plot. Who is doing all this stuff, So it follows all that. So I would say Paladine's Grace it's more of like a cutesy, to be honest. Even the mystery and everything was more cutesy. Yeah, it was definitely more cozy than a lot of the other fantasy.
More cozy than like hardcore.
Yeah. My next one is a nod actually to one Alicia had. So this one is called Throne of the Fallen. It's also by the same author who wrote the Wicked series, Carrie something. It follows a different brother of one of the Brothers of Hell or whatever. Princes of Hell. Follows a different one who aren't the main people in the, I'm assuming.
And I forgot to say, the Princes of Hell are like Wrath.
It's the 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah. Thank you. I was like, I couldn't remember
Sins.
what that was called. Yeah.
So this one, and when I picked this book up, I did not know
that
it was connected at all. So I picked it up and I was like, damn, this world seems super familiar. Like I swore I read a book about the Princes of Hell.
You have to read Kingdom of the Wicked.
I know.
It's so good.
I was like, this is so familiar but adjacent. Like, familiar, but not. And then when I finally finished the book and I looked up the author, because I was like, I loved this. I need more books by her. I was like, oh, what?
Alicia gave me these books. What?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. But the second book in that technical series just came out, too, which I haven't set to deliver later. I've done that the last few times.
Oh, on Libby.
I've been trying. I've been in the middle of books.
We love the Libby app.
Mm-hmm. So it's called Throne of the Fallen. It's like so if the Wicked is like the first series, the main series, this one then follows some of the other brothers. So Throne of the Fallen follows the Prince of Envy. So Envy, one of the 7 deadly sins. And it's basically, this follows this girl who is like an art dealer. She's a painter and she has secrets and everything. And it turns out that there's a game going on between the brothers. And she gets basically brought into it somehow. I won't say, but like she becomes a part of the game. Now, again, I said she has secrets. So she's not just a mere random human. You don't know like what she is. She's got secrets of her own that are not revealed until later, right? You're trying to figure out her secret, his secrets, what's going on like between the brothers and everything. It's really good. And the revelations are really good too. Okay, the next one Alicia did not like at all. I loved and enjoyed. It's a series. First book is Stardust in Their Veins.
Oh, I never read it.
Yes, you did. You said you didn't like it.
Tell the viewers what it's about.
So Stardust in Our Veins.
I literally forgot that I read it.
Stardust in Our Veins is about 3 princesses, and they've been raised to basically...
Oh my god. I hate this book. It was so boring.
It's all political, like, intrigue. There's, like, next to no romance. There's romance, but it's like not the center. The center is the dynamics between all the all of the countries and like the political conquests.
Did you listen to it or did you read it?
I read it.
I listened to it. So maybe that's where the disconnect comes in.
Well, it's political intrigue. It's court intrigue.
Who's intrigued? Not me.
But anyway, okay, it's called Stardust in Our Veins, and it follows 3 princesses who are sisters, and they've been raised by their mother to basically be married off to a prince of each of the fellow countries to go in and basically take over and dismantle their government. So, like, they're basically spies, and, like, they also are tasked with assassinating each prince so that they are then, their mother can come in and basically conquer the whole continent. And I should preface too, there's magic. In this world, there are people who are star-touched, and if you're star-touched, you can call upon the stars and one will fall, and then you basically get like a wish. Last and final is Trial of the Sun Queen. That is also on Kindle Unlimited. I think the first 2 books of the 4-book series is on Kindle Unlimited. I am currently on the last book. I'm like 70% done on the last book, but the first book is called Trial of the Sun Queen. Our female main character,
let's call her Tiffany.
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 We're gonna call her Tiffany. She is locked in a prison. She's been in a prison for the last 10 years, locked away there with her sister, her siblings, sister and brother. They've all been in this prison for 10 plus years. They don't tell you, it doesn't tell you at the beginning why they're in the prison or like how they got there. It just says, you know, they've been here for this long and this is like their life. This is how it's going right now. No one knows why they're there. All of like, they don't know what their charges were. They do, like the characters know, but they don't let you know. So you're trying to figure out, okay, so why did they get sent to prison? What's their background? And basically, the girl gets in trouble, the main girl, and gets put outside. She gets put outside in the pits, basically. So spend the night in the pits, solitary, outside. While she's there, she gets taken by a mystery character, brought to the Sun Palace to compete in trials. I love trial books, apparently. To be the next Sun Queen. So in this world, there are different, we'll call them countries.
It's giving Throne of Glass. All I can think of is Throne of Glass. Yeah.
There's different countries. And they coincide with like, you know, similarly to like Sarah J. Maas with like the Night Court. They like the Sun Court, the Aurora, which is like the Night Court. They have all these different territories that are ruled by a fae with imperial magic. And imperial magic is big royalty magic, basically. It's not like a low fae who can, you know, probably move something across the room or, you know what I mean? It's big, destructive, like war-ass magic. Each territory has an imperial. And the history of the sun territory is that long ago, when the first ruler of the Sun territory became ruler, he wanted to make sure that everyone kind of had an opportunity to be a ruling class. So he decided to put on these trials for every time a new Sun King needs a Sun Queen. So someone from the lowlands, so lower fae, are able to compete. Someone from the middle class, high class, like a representative basically from every class of people they have, so that they all have an equal opportunity. So she is brought there as though she's from the slums, but she's not supposed to let anyone know that she's not from the slums. She's from the prison Nostraza, from the Aurora. So like, even her being there, she's like, why did they bring me here? What do they know about me? All that to say, I really enjoyed it. There are a lot of revelations, a lot of twists and turns. It will keep you on your toes. I do have an honorable mention, and the second book to this actually comes out in February, which I'm excited about. And I give it an honorable mention because I'm unsure on where it's going. And so
you're like, it might be a recommendation, but it might also not be, depending on the second book.
Exactly. And it's Heartless Hunter, which you've probably seen on like TikTok and everything. It has another name in Europe. It like was released in Europe under another name, but the one in the US is called Heartless Hunter. And it's about, we live in a world in Heartless Hunter where witches have basically been eradicated, or they've tried to like eradicate witches. The humans have in this world, and they've pretty well succeeded, at least we think at this point. You're following a girl who is is a witch, but has lived under the radar. And she actually basically turned in her grandmother, who was a witch. So basically, her grandmother told her to turn her in because they were already coming for her, to save her, to make it look like, okay, she told on her grandmother, so she obviously cannot be a witch. You know, she's very loyal. She's a human. We follow her, but she's actually secretly, she is a witch. And she secretly works to undermine the humans and their imperial army that's currently like the ruling class, to save witches from prosecution and, you know, get them to safety and get them, you know, off the continent, get them to a different area. Because it's not the whole world. It's just this country, this continent area, a peninsula, I don't know. That the ruling people hate witches, want to kill them, all that jazz. She's trying to figure out about a certain witch because someone related to her grandmother, a grandmother's friend, is spoken about of like, we have her, we're looking for her. And she's like, I need to do right by my grandma and save this witch. Or like, I need to learn more.
Yeah.
I need to find this girl. So to do that, she starts to court the head of the army, basically, or the police for the humans. And so he's totally anti-witch, you know, all that. Yeah. So then she's trying to also find additional information to like dismantle them. And you know, of course, they kind of, you know, all in love eventually. It's like a cat and mouse a lot. I'm not explaining it very well at all, but it's very good. So thank you guys for watching. You know, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Help out the channel a lot. And have a blessed, no. And have a great day.
Let us know your favorite fantasy books and fantasy recommendations in
Put
the
it
comments.
in the comments.
Because we're always looking for new recs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Bye.
Bye.